So today we're going to break down for you how to get your gymnast to cast up to a handstand on the bar. Before they do this, they should be able to do a nice cast off the bar to land down onto a safe mat. So the first thing that we should be able to get the gymnast to do is a nice strong handstand just on the floor with no equipment at all. So Luke is going to demonstrate for us a nice strong handstand. He's going to kick up, can make sure his chest is in, nice and tight, rounded back, open hips, bottom nice and squeezed, and legs straight all the way through up to his toes. We'll ask him to step back down onto his feet. Now, once we know that the gymnast is extremely strong in handstand, we can start getting them to jump up into handstand through different shapes. So Luca, if you can come here, that's it. The first shape we're going to ask the gymnast to jump to handstand in is a tuck shape, so we can grab them by the hips, making sure they're nice and strong going up to handstand. The next shape we're going to ask is a straddle up to a nice handstand, and the third shape is a pike up to handstand. Now, once the gymnast has understood how to get into handstand in all these three different shapes, it's then time to start encouraging them to do a straight body up to handstand, which gets a little bit more difficult. So we're going to break that down into some more steps and stages. So once we know the gymnast is nice and strong and they can jump to handstand on the floor without any parallettes at all, it's time to then bring them down to a floor parallette with a crash mat behind them. So the first thing we're going to ask the gymnast to do is just kick to a handstand on the floor parallette. We can support them, making sure they're nice and stable, and then we can ask them to fall over onto their back onto the crash mat. Now, the main reason we're asking them to fall over is because the chances are when they start trying this skill, they're going to fall over the top, and then we want them to be nice and confident at going over the top and not being scared. So once they've done this in a kick to handstand, we can ask the gymnast to do the same thing again, but using the shapes that we practiced earlier. So a tuck jump to handstand. Good. Then we can ask the gymnast to move on to the straddle jump to handstand, so the second shape we were looking at. Nice. And third we can do is a pike jump to handstand. The gymnast's got to lift their bottom up, then drive their feet up to the handstand, over onto their back. Nice. So these exercises are going to give the gymnast a good understanding of doing the handstand on the bar, moving their shoulders forwards, and also not being scared of going over the top of the bar when they start practicing this by themselves. So if you have a set of parallel bars in your gym, then there's a good exercise we can do on here to encourage the gymnast to lift their feet forwards for their cast, kip themselves out and move their shoulders forwards in front of the bar when they start their cast to handstand. So me and Luca are going to demonstrate 3 reps for you now. So Luca's going to show us his pause, his feet forwards, kip, and shoulders forwards, ready for that cast. Do that again. Kip, shoulders forwards. One more time. Kip, and shoulders forwards. You'll tend to find that a lot of gymnasts will get scared of moving their shoulders forwards, which is going to help them up to handstand. And this exercise gives them the idea of bringing their feet forwards, kipping them back with that heel drive, and moving their shoulders forwards, ready for the cast all the way up to handstand on the A-bars. So one of the most important things with a cast to handstand is making sure that the gymnasts are comfortable with their shoulders going in front of their hands, and also that they're strong enough to perform the action, opening their shoulders up to handstand. So an exercise which is neglected quite a lot is planche exercises. Now, this needs to be practiced quite thoroughly every session for a cast to handstand, and once they can do this, it will make the skill so much easier for them. So the first way we can break this down is by getting the gymnast to do a tucked planche and tuck up to a handstand. So hold and pause and lift them up, opening their shoulders. And back down into that tuck planche. Relax. The next way we can make this a little bit more difficult is by getting them into a frog shape. So we can get them to split their legs apart and bend their knees into a frog planche. We can then ask them to press, lift their body up, keeping that frog shape, and coming back down into a frog planche. Once they get good at this and they're strong, we can then get the gymnast to straddle completely. So we get them to do their straddle planche, press them up into a straddled handstand, stay in there, and back down. And once the gymnast is extremely strong in the straddle shape, We can ask them, we'll start them in straddle, we'll ask them to join their legs together, straight body press to handstand, and then come back down again. So we have straddle planche, join, press the body up, back down, straddle, and down onto the floor. Nice. Now, it's not very easy and it doesn't happen straight away. These are exercises they're going to have to do in their conditioning daily, over and over again. But if they practice enough with these tuck planches, frog, straddle and straight, you will get that straight lift up to handstand with the coach. They won't necessarily always just do it by themselves, but it's great to get in there supporting them, ready for the skill, so when it transfers to a cast to handstand, it makes their life a lot easier. Once you've gone through all the steps and stages that we've previously done, we can then get the gymnast onto the bar and start supporting them for a cast to handstand. Now, to start off with, we're not going to put them all the way up in handstand. We're going to bring them just before, so they feel nice and confident, bring them back to the bar. Once they've done that a few times, we can then get them all the way up into a nice handstand. So me and Luca are going to demonstrate for you. So your hand's going to go on the gymnast's shoulders, other hand's going to go on their leg, and then bring them back down to the bar. Let them relax and let them take their time, ready for the next go. On the next one, we're going to go up to a full handstand. So hand on the shoulder, hand on the leg, cast up to a nice handstand, supporting them, making sure you got them the whole time, bring them back down to the bar, onto their hips. Once you've supported the gymnast for plenty of cast to handstands and you think that they're doing most of the work by themselves, it's time to then let them have a go by themselves. So what we can do is set up 2 blocks like this with a gap in between, and we can then put a crash mat on top of the blocks to allow them to practice by themselves, so you don't have to be there to support. This is normally really good when you've got multiple gymnasts working at the same time, all together in a group. So you can stand next to them, jump up Luca. He can swing his legs forwards, cast up to the handstand, fall over the top and land onto the mat without you having to give them any support at all. Once the gymnast has practiced this over and over again and they start to get confident, we can then allow them to do the cast to handstand by themselves over a foam pit or with a soft surface, and then we can go from there. Now we've done plenty of work on the blocks with the gymnast, doing their cast to handstand over the top onto their back. It's time to bring them onto a low bar with a safe setting, plenty of crash mats or a foam pit, and allowing them to try by themselves. It's important to stand next to the gymnast the whole time and just shadow and guide them in case anything goes wrong, so you can step in and make sure that they're safe. So we're going to watch Luca do the full skill now. Cast up to handstand, heel drive, and come back down. And again, try and lift a little bit higher. That's it, up to that shape and back to the bar. Perfect. Stop there. Excellent. Once the gymnast has done this on the soft surface or over a foam pit, they then should be able to perform this on the normal set of A bars. So, when we're putting together the cast to handstand, make sure you remember to drive the gymnast's heels over the top of their head. Think about encouraging the gymnast to keep their shoulders forwards in that planche shape and practicing them strength elements, getting ready to go onto the bar. Make sure you stand next to the gymnast the whole time, supporting them all the way through the skill, and then by the end, make a nice safe setting with plenty of crash mats so they can practice by themselves. If you follow all these steps and stages, you should be able to get the gymnast to go from not touching the bar all the way to a cast to handstand in a good time.